Every year, we must review procedures and information related to the MTSS model. Today, you will get an overview of how the model will work in the 2021 school year. If you have any additional questions after, I will be glad to answer those for you. This slide deck, as well as the video recording, will be available for the duration of the year on the MTSS shared drive. MTSS is our multi-tiered system of supports. In looking at what the tiered system of supports is and is not, it is a prevention framework for students. We attempt to fill in gaps that students had before coming to us, which could be attributed to many things, including lack of prior instruction. It is flexible, data-driven, and uses multiple data sources. It is not a program or a curriculum, nor is it a one-size-fits-all approach. It is not just for struggling students, but includes all students, even those needing enrichment. It is not based on assumptions or unreliable data. While this framework can be used with decisions about which students should be screened for special education services, it is not a pre-referral process for special education. Here you will find the major topics that we will be covering. These are clickable in the slide deck you will have access to for quick navigation. In looking at the tiers of instruction, Tier 1 includes every student in your classroom. Each student will receive diagnostic testing several times a year. In our case, we will use iReady. It includes the implementation of Georgia Standards of Excellence through our standards-based classroom instruction. Differentiation is included for all students. Groups should be fluid, flexible, and provide multiple means of learning and demonstrating that learning. It includes progress monitoring of student learning through multiple formative assessments throughout the year, and it also includes positive behavior supports. In looking at students who fall into Tier 2, these get all of the Tier 1 supports as well as interventions based on their needs. We will monitor throughout the year to determine how the student is responding to the interventions to help with future decision making. For students in Tier 3, they get all of the Tier 1 and 2 supports as well as additional support. Targeted interventions are based on student needs, and frequent progress monitoring is done with this group of students. Students in Tier 4 have specially designed learning and are served through our special education services. These students will receive services based on areas of disability and will also be monitored frequently to gauge their response to the interventions provided. This year, interventions will be provided within our regular classrooms. We will be using teacher-assigned lessons for students this year. It is my understanding that we will be including these iReady lessons in our language arts and math pacing guides, and if weekly plans are done, they will be included there as well. Also note that students should be receiving individualized instruction through differentiation within your classes. The differentiation should be noted in your plans as well. Our science and social studies teachers should also provide supports when appropriate to these students. Each teacher should know who your students are in Tiers 2 and 3. We have not completely done away with the learning plans assigned by iReady. Students may work on their ILP, their individual learning plan, during arrival or dismissal times. Our district has provided an intervention bank which is available in the MTSS shared drive. The various areas included are basic reading, fluency, comprehension, math calculations, math problem solving, and writing or vocabulary. While some of the links lead you to interventions to use, some lead to strategies that can be used with all students in your classroom. For those students in Tier 3, they will be assigned a growth monitoring check both within the iReady program and in a second area. About every 3 weeks, they will receive a growth check in iReady. If they're monitored in reading, it will be assigned in reading, and likewise if they are monitored in math, it will be assigned in math. When you are using iReady that week, note that these students will need to complete this before moving on to the other assigned instruction, and it should pop up first. This growth check for most students should take about 20 minutes. Occasionally it might go longer, but some students try to drag it out longer as not to move on to their other instruction. Monitoring of iReady for all students, but especially Tier 3, is important. The second monitoring piece will also be on a 3-week rotation. Students will be monitored in either math, reading fluency, or reading comprehension. For students who are monitored in reading fluency, students will use the Flipgrid program to complete this task. They will be provided with a passage within their Flipgrid to read for 60 seconds. This can be completed in your room in a quiet spot or right outside in the hallway. Since the timed reading only records for 1 minute, the time it takes should be minimal. This could be completed during iReady time since the time to complete is relatively small. For students who are monitored in reading comprehension or math, they will be assigned a prompt through Illuminate. These are both more time intensive than the fluency prompt. I'm asking that these be completed during homeroom, dismissal, or some other downtime. Do not take time from iReady to complete these. Each week I will try to update the spreadsheet each day so that you will know who has completed their growth checks. This will be a separate tab in your tier list spreadsheet in your grade level folder inside MTSS. Students will be provided with links to the fluency, comprehension, and math checks through Google Classroom. These will be labeled PM for progress monitoring within their grade level. Video instructions for how to complete each type of monitoring will be included in the Google Classroom for each student. If they are unsure of what to do, they can refer back to those videos as often as needed. I can also meet with any students who need that as well. Here we have an example of what you will see when you're looking at who has completed growth checks. The top bar shows the tabs at the bottom of your spreadsheet. The students in Tiers 2 and 3 are listed in the first tab. The second tab lists students who are on the watch list. These watch list students were determined by the teachers the previous year. Those are students teachers did not feel needed to be in Tier 2, but could fall behind if we don't watch them closely. The only grade without a watch list at this time will be 5th. The final tab lists the areas where the students are monitored and the checklist. The bottom picture shows what the final tab might look like. The student name and monitored area will be listed, and then in the columns you'll see dates and types of monitoring that will be taking place that week. I'll place check marks in the boxes as these are completed on monitoring weeks. Please make sure that you check this. Making sure that the students complete the comprehension and math monitoring pieces will rest mainly on homeroom teachers, while the fluency checks will rest mainly on reading teachers or language arts teachers. The good news is that all of the assigned probes and data tracking side of growth or progress monitoring checks will be done for you. If you are having issues with a student, please alert me and I will see what I can do to help. There will be a Google Classroom for each grade level's progress monitored students. Each student should see questions to complete when they join, along with a welcome video. Remember that only Tier 3 students are assigned to these progress monitoring groups. At the beginning of the year after joining, I will assign a practice prompt in either fluency checks, comprehension monitoring, or math monitoring, and a video detailing how to complete each prompt. Have these students who have an invitation to join the class, again students in Tier 3, go ahead and accept. At that point, I'll assign the appropriate tasks. They won't start true progress monitoring until the week of September 7th. As I stated before, we are roughly on a 3-week rotation with each progress monitoring piece. The first thing students will complete is a fluency, comprehension, or math check. The following week will be an iReady check, and the following week is there for any catching up we might need to do. After that, the rotation starts again. I've linked a calendar in the slide deck. Any changes that are needed will be made on that particular calendar. In the past, some of you have been asked to fill out bi-weekly sheets detailing targeted behaviors of your students with a BIP. This year we're trying something different. You will receive a Google form for each student you teach who has a BIP this year. Please bookmark those when you receive them. You can submit them repeatedly. Each form is tailored to the behaviors we need to track for that student, but will also allow you to input other behaviors that are of issue as well. This will help us to more easily see if we can dismiss a student or if we need to revisit our targeted behaviors over time. If you have a student who has a BIP, these will be marked in Infinite Campus under flags. In most cases, there will be a Google Drive link that will take you straight to the file. I will email those to you as well. If you have a student whose BIP is part of an IEP, his or her case manager will provide you with the information for that student and give you further instructions. The behavior form will look similar to what you see here. The date of the behavior, the class where it occurred, and the actual behavior will all be documented. If it's not a behavior listed on the form, then please check Other and describe what happened. As we look at the second part of the form, you will indicate what interventions you provided and the consequences. You have a space to provide other interventions or consequences, as well as any other information you'd like to share. If the student had 3 behaviors during that class period, please fill the form out 3 times for that day. If the student had no behaviors or issues that day or week, you don't need to do anything. I have given the administrators access to view the spreadsheets that will populate with this information in case they need it while a student is in the office. I know that this is a lot of information you've just received. If anything was unclear, please do let me know. I am here to help you and will do what I can to try to make things easier for you when possible. Thanks for your time. Please remember that if you need to refer back, this slide deck as well as the recording will be available in the shared MTSS Drive folder under Training. Also, please make sure to fill out the form you are sent later that indicates that you've been through MTSS training for this school year. There will be a spot there to let me know if you have additional questions as well. Thank you.